All right, folks, thank you. Thank you. Welcome to the Roland GRIMES, not just sports and entertainment show. I'm your host, Roland Bubba Grimes. We're filming here, taping live at the Society Lounge in Silver Spring, Maryland. As always, I have my esteemed co-host, ladies and gentlemen. Put your hands together for Mr. Self-Empowerment, Wilbert Skipper. Now, for those of you who don't know, Skip has a great program. It's called Positive Empowerment. You know what? I'm going to let him tell you. What's the name of it?
PositiveEmpowermentSeminars.com. That's where you can reach me. We're changing the lives of corporations, organizations. If your organization needs some help, whether or not it's morale issues, management issues, please reach out to us. We'd love to customize a seminar to fit your organization needs.
And let me tell you, the man knows how to make it work, because every time I get frustrated and I'm ready to blow a top, I call Skip, and Skip reminds me of all the wonderful things that's going on in my life, and I want to reach through the phone and grab, never mind. Anyway, having said that, folks, once again, my makeup is by Makeup by C, One Shot Fred, photographer, my main man, Mr. Cooney, my timekeeper, and all the beautiful people here at Society Lounge. Getting ready to watch the Monday Night Football game. Please give yourselves a hand. All right, we do this in the Chocolate City. We do it in a way like nobody else in the nation. Having said that, I want to introduce you to someone. He is the president of, and I'm going to try to get this right, the National Association of Minority Auto Dealers. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Mr. Damon Lester. Damon. All right, if you hear some fire new pie in the background, don't get scared. Right? This Kappa Alpha side, they're going to break out the canes. Skip and I going to move to the side. They're going to do their thing. But while we're dealing with these noops, let's get right into it. Folks, many of you, most of you, all of you have automobiles. And someone has to deliver this product to you. And of course, there's regulation, there's certification, there are other things that go on in this industry. And quite frankly, throughout the history of the industry, minority folks, especially African Americans, have found it a difficult area to navigate in terms of ownership, distribution, etc. And without a doubt, manufacturing hasn't even been on the table. Now, having said that, Damon, I'm going to put you on the spot.
It's all
Ladies and
yours.
gentlemen, Damon, tell me about the National Association of Minority Auto Dealers. What is it and what do you do?
All right, basically, we represent all of the ethnic minority-owned car dealerships in the country.
All of the ethnic minority-owned.
Minority, and that's African American, Asian, Latino, and Native American. So
now, do they know you represent them?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. So currently, out of the 20,000 dealerships in the country, there's only 1,100 minority-owned dealerships, and that represents less than 5%.
And say that number
So that
again.
just blew you away, right?
Yeah, give us that figure one more
So
time.
out of the 20,000 car dealerships in the country,
We're going to turn up the mic so everybody can hear this. Say this one more time,
So
Damon.
out of the 20,000 new car dealerships in the country, 1,100 are represented by ethnic minorities, so less than 5%.
That's astonishing.
All right.
Yeah.
Without putting you completely on the spot, I'm going to put you on the spot. Why?
Why?
Why is there such small percentage of ownership among minorities?
It's twofold. When you look at back in the early 50s and the 30s and 40s, we weren't allowed to become car dealers.
Yeah.
Oh, by law, we couldn't own
Because
them.
of affirmative action is when we first got our opportunity. So,
The end of Jim Crow, basically.
exactly. So we got our start late in the game in comparison to majority-owned dealers who are second, third, fourth, fifth generation.
And like anything else, if there's a race and you start 100 yards ahead of me, within 150 yards, you'll probably beat me because you.
Absolutely.
All right, so now your association is designed to help close some of that gap.
Yeah, our goal is parity. So
Good luck with that, right?
From a statistics standpoint, over 30% of all of the new cars and trucks are purchased by ethnic minorities.
And that number's going up.
And that number is continuing to increase as the diversity of America continues to become more brown. And when you look at the consumer or the entrepreneurial side, 5% or even less than 5% representation, that scale is off. So our goal is parity, just to bring more awareness that the browning of America is true, and if they don't pay attention to the diversity in America, particularly as the consumer market, then you will see the entrepreneurial, from an ethnic minority standpoint, go away.
Okay, well look, I'm going to say this and then I'm going to let Skip jump in. Here's the thing. a lot of people don't really care about ethnic minority ownership.
Right.
I mean, as long as you're buying, who cares about who owns? As a matter of fact, there are segments of the population that would prefer that ethnic minorities don't own dealerships or anything else for that matter. So no matter how moral an approach you're taking, quite frankly, business moves politically and business moves economically. Tell me how you guys are addressing it from that standpoint.
When you look, most of the minority dealerships are located in minority communities.
Atlanta,
the Sun Belt, Florida, California, Texas. That's where most of our dealerships are located. So when you look at the infrastructure of a community, that dealership
should reflect.
It reflects that dealership that's currently in place. It's basically the incubator for all that goes around within its small business. So that's the generator that funds the Boy Scouts, the local Boys and Club, Boys and Lions Club. Those are that dealership.
Dealerships can feed a lot. Can feed a lot of.
Yeah. So when you look at it from a growth standpoint, a dealership generates over $35 million in gross sales.
Wow.
So that's a heck of a tax base for that particular locality.
Right.
Absolutely. So if I today decided that I wanted to partake in your industry and I wanted to become an owner of a dealership, are there some programs in place that you have that would help me? Because I'm assuming I will qualify as a minority in terms of what we're talking about. Are there some programs in place that I could come to you and talk to you about and you could walk me through or help me, put me in a better position to be able to do that?
Oh, absolutely. So there are programs that started that gave minorities their first start from Ford, Chrysler, and General Motors.
Right, I recall
those are those minority dealer development programs which still are in existence today that provide that opportunity by way of access to capital for the minority to get his first entrance into the dealership.
Okay.
Now, you should go to school. There's a dealer academy that's sponsored by the National Auto Dealers Association.
Okay.
So we urge all of those respective people that are interested in the industry to attend that.
Great. Hold that thought, because when we come back, we're going to talk about those steps that one has to go through in order to accomplish what Skip just described. Hey, folks, Roland Grimes, Not Just Sports Entertainment Show. Talking automobiles. I told you we cover business, sports, entertainment, health, and education. I know you didn't believe me out there, but we do. Hey, folks, we'll be back with you very shortly after we pay a few bills. Roland Grimes, right back at you. All right, folks.
Yes, indeedy. Yes.
All right, folks. As my main man said, yes, indeedy. Roland Grimes, Not Just Sports Entertainment Show, coming to you live taping from the Society Lounge, Silver Spring, Maryland. I love this place so much, I'm never leaving. They're going to open the doors tomorrow morning. I'm still going to be here eating that gumbo soup and having a real good time with my main man, Damon. Damon, having said that, it's a great segue. Skip wants to start a dealership. He has no clue what he's doing. I know because I asked him. All right? Where does he start and what does he do? Now, go right into from the rooter to the tutor, the nuts and bolts. Tell us exactly what Skip has to do to put together his dealership so he can sell me 750,000 cars.
First, do you have any money?
I can borrow some. I can definitely borrow some. Absolutely.
So tell me how that works. How does the money work?
So an average dealership is going to need about $1.5 million, $2 million working capital.
Okay, 1 million to 2 million liquid capital. Okay.
Liquid capital.
Unencumbered money.
Unencumbered funds. The rest of it you can finance by way of a bank or you get some investments.
Okay.
Secondly, then you will want you to go to the dealer academy, which is NADA, which is National Auto Dealers Association Academy.
Okay.
Which is a 1-year program, 1 week on, you have to have money.
Right.
If you don't have money, it's going to be really challenging
Well, you can't do
to do it.
Well, I think I can put together some money. There's people like Mr. and Mrs. Helms here. I'm sure I can get some money from them to do it. They believe in what we're doing.
So how much unencumbered working capital are we talking about?
So on the average, the dealerships requesting about $1.5 million to $2 million of working capital. So in order to just start the business. The remaining of the funds you can get financed or by way of investors.
Okay.
Secondly, we want you to go to the dealer academy, which is being held by the National Auto Dealers Association. It's a 1-year program, 1 week of in class, remaining month of in-dealership training. So you'll learn all of the 5 facets of a dealership, which is new cars, used cars, finance, insurance, as well as service and parts.
Right, okay.
So now while I'm doing that, the $1 to $2 million that you spoke about, that I need to have in a reserve account, is that?
Yes, unencumbered,
Okay.
can't touch it.
So I can't touch that.
Correct.
And then after I go through the 1 year of training, I'm now going to be able to own a dealership?
you will be considered.
I will be considered.
To own it.
So it's not over yet.
No, it's not over.
So basically, the money that I'm borrowing is going to stay there, and I have to hope and pray that after the 1 year, not only am I being considered, but somebody's going to say, "Hey, you're ready."
So next part of that is the manufacturer determines who gets the store. The manufacturer determines where that location of the store should be. So you have to have a business plan.
You may end up in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Yeah, you may not be in this area.
Exactly.
Well, okay, now help me if I'm wrong, and maybe I'm off on this. I know it's holiday season, so y'all just bear with me. But it sounds like to me that some of this could be a setup to not make it because you don't know that you are going to make it. You can have your faith, but you're saying 1 year of school, $1 and $2 million in a bank account that I can't touch, and then the other part of it is that somebody else is going to control my fate by telling me if I can have a dealership and then where it's going to be. Is that correct?
Absolutely. So you're a small business.
Right.
What does that have to do with it, David?
There's no difference.
I mean, nothing against you. I'm just asking questions.
There's no difference in asking for a Subway franchise. You can't determine where your franchise is. Subway dealership.
Now, you can open a sandwich shop and call it Skip's Sandwich Shop. Right. You can open a car dealership and it can be Skip's Car Dealership. Right. But in terms of the manufacturer providing you with inventory under the brand Ford, Chrysler, Pontiac, whatever, in order for that to happen, you have to meet whatever qualifications they have to say yes, and then they decide where you're going to be able to open this new dealership, or if one is in receivership, then they may allow you to come in and take that dealership over. So you can still have a car dealership, you just may not be aligned with the major players in the industry. Damon, do I have that correct?
Yeah, absolutely right.
Okay, so since Roland jumped in, and it's getting a little heated now, so I'm probably better off, or tell me if I'm better off, by going to Mr. Grimes. Okay. Roland has a dealership. He's well established, been out there for 50 years. Am I better off going and doing an internship, so to speak, under his wing, but doing the stuff that I have to do with the association?
Yeah, good luck with that.
Right.
In order, because if he has clout and he's been doing it, his word could help me.
Right.
Am I close on this?
That's not the process that's in place, but go ahead.
Yeah and no.
Okay.
So how it will work is you can intern with him or whomever you choose to. However, at the end of the day, the manufacturer determines where. Now, what you can do is create a business plan, just like all small businesses do, and figure out where your market is and where those opportunities are by way of what manufacturers are in that area. Wow. So every state has its own state franchise laws, which determines you can't afford. It can't be no more than 12 miles away from the next Ford. So all states different from the mile requirement.
Wow.
However, what you can do is figure out what your market is and understand your market. If you want to stay here, you have to provide that business case to stay here.
Okay.
Now, before we take a break, who out there owns these ethnic minority dealerships now? What are their profiles?
A lot of we're getting a lot of athletes coming in. Retired athletes, some, and also currently playing. We have Michael Jordan that has a couple dealerships. Alex Rodriguez has a couple dealerships. Jamal Mashburn, Deuce McAllister, Jesse Armstead, Antonio Pierce. All of these guys all own dealerships throughout the U.S. Right now. So they're figuring, they're learning the business. They went through the academy. They did all of the due diligence. Are pretty successful at having life after sport.
Now let's talk about that. Now, I am very close friends with Floyd Little, who have been involved with this process for many years in Denver and beyond. Now, we're going to come back, and I want you to answer this question for me. If Michael Jordan is watching over the Bobcats and his sneakers and 9 million other things and people and places, who's watching the dealership while he's watching all these other things? All right, you're going to answer that for me when we get back. Hey, folks, going to take a quick station break. Roland Bubba Grimes, Roland Grimes Not Just Sports Entertainment Show. Be right back at you in 8 minutes. All right, folks. Hey, welcome back to the Roland Grimes Not Just Sports Entertainment Show. Shooting here, live taping from the Society Lounge in Silver Spring, Maryland. I have the man, the myth, the legend, Damon Lester, who is the president of the National Association of Minority Auto Dealers. And he has his own fan club out here somewhere. Hey, folks, if you're here for Damon, clap your hands. All right. All right, Damon, you were telling me earlier about how Michael Jordan pays attention to all of the facets of his life and still runs his dealership. How does that happen?
For an individual such as he who has different businesses, he has good people behind him. And he has a team of people who have to report to him. But he has to first know the business. Otherwise, the business will get away from him.
Because he won't know what they're reporting.
He will not know what they report. Okay. So that's how it works. So you have to have good processes. You have to have good people in order for this business your business to survive, it, particularly in this environment.
So now, from a minority standpoint, what things are in place now to promote the having of more minority dealerships as we live in 2012? What are some of the things that are happening now?
What we're doing, you're seeing a lot more of advertising within minority media, such as Black Enterprise or Hispanic business, that you're seeing more diversity within this product launch. You're seeing a lot more of, and we're doing a lot more of a push within the community from a grassroots standpoint to just make people aware that there's a lot of minority dealerships in your area. You just don't know that they're there. So, it all has to be at a grassroots level. As these average dealership employs about 50 to 60 people, and more so they're all from that community, the community.
Well, now, these dealerships, they have, like many franchises, or like every franchise, they have built-in processes that everyone has to follow, essentially. So if you have a Chrysler dealership, you have certain steps and procedures that you have to follow in terms of selling to a customer, delivering the product to a customer, the surveys after they purchase, etc. And of course, each different dealership can modify some of their processes to fit their particular location. Having said that, when someone goes into a dealership that is owned by a minority versus one that's owned by someone from a majority, is there that much difference between the service typically? Is there that much difference in terms of the resources that are available? Or are minority dealerships, ethnic minority dealerships, at a handicap in terms of being able to get the inventory of the products, the pricing, the parts, etc.?
First, all dealerships are regulated both federally as well as state. So you just can't go in and create your own franchises and think that you have a cookie-cutter process and it will be successful. Yeah. So you have a federal standpoint as well as a state mandate by way of regulation on how to finance a car, what type of interest rates should be or can be max charged to a vehicle. So all of those, there's environmental regulations that all dealerships need to adhere to. So that's part one on how to start with. But all dealerships should have a good process from all facets of its profit centers, which are those 5: sales, used cars, finance, insurance, parts, and service. Okay. That they should adhere to in order to be profitable. But first and foremost, it doesn't matter if it's a majority-owned dealer or a minority. The first thing is servicing Mr. and Mrs. Customer. That's my main priority. So our dealers, and all dealers, feel as though they want to make sure that that customer comes back into that store. Yeah. From when they purchase that vehicle to when it gets serviced. So everything at that point, from when you purchase a car, you want to make sure that person comes back and also tells the friend.
So from an ownership standpoint right now in 2012, as we end this year, moving forward into 2013, are you very hopeful that the numbers that you talked about earlier, which were very low, I think 5% in terms of minority dealership owners, is going to improve?
It's two parts. Back in 2008, 2009, the car sales dropped to about 10 million cars sold in the U.S.
Dropped from what number?
16 million to 10 million. That was the start of the recession. As we're going into 2011, 2012, we're looking at 2012 ending at about 14 million, almost 15 million vehicles sold. So we're regaining that ground.
Okay.
However, for our dealer body, the challenge that we have is historically has always been access to capital.
Okay.
And now opportunities that are available.
Yeah.
Because the price for a dealership, whether it's existing or not, is so high that it's difficult to get into that market when you're looking at a dealership. If you're trying to buy a store, maybe $15, $20 million, which includes the land and building too. So for us, Our opportunities have to be by way of partnerships.
Yeah, absolutely.
Our opportunities have to come way of investors from our athletes and entertainers, because those provide a good avenue for people to be able to have life after sports,
Absolutely.
life after entertainment. So that's what we're looking at now.
Well, for me, and again, you're going to help me clear this up. As I listen to you talk about the automobile dealership owners, in particular the minorities, is there some sort of, you talk about partnering, but is there some sort of plan where you can bring somebody in, even though they have to go through the other things that you talked about earlier, and they can learn on the job with the hopes of being a minority owner?
One of the things we're urging our dealers, 95% of all the minority dealers are here today are first generation.
Okay.
So successorship is key.
Yeah.
Getting their kids involved and their family or relatives involved so that we can begin to create next generation or generational wealth.
Absolutely.
So that's first and foremost what we have to. If they don't, or if we don't, no new buds will be sprouted.
Yeah.
And the body will die.
Right.
And so we're trying to preach to these guys the importance of the successorship, the importance of having things in place so that have their kids understand. And with most of the dealers that are in place now, in comparison to majority-owned dealerships or generational dealerships, is that minority dealers, their kids go to school, they go get a job, and they don't want to get involved with the business. They see mom and dad struggling throughout the years. They don't think it's sexy.
Working all those hours.
Yeah, they don't think it's sexy. I can go become a lawyer, doctor, accountant, and make a decent living, provide a good living for my family, and I want to be involved with it. However, when you look at the generational wealth side, it provides a great opportunity to have something that can be passed down.
Yeah, from generation to generation. Absolutely.
You have an asset base, whether you want to be operating whether you want to operate that store or not. You have something that you can pass down that has some value.
Yeah, and that makes sense.
Yeah.
Hey, folks, we're going to wrap things up here. Roland Grimes, Not Just Sports and Entertainment Show. I want to thank Damon Lester, the president of, well, you know what? Before I say goodbye, tell us what your role is as president of the National Association of Minority Auto Dealerships.
Well, first, I do run the day-to-day operations. I deal with every manufacturer in the auto industry, ranging from Fiat to Lamborghini. I do a lot of the lobbying on Capitol Hill, testify before Congress, as well as the Senate, doing the financial bailouts. I deal a lot with the CAFE standards or the EPA, and things of that nature, as well as advocating and increasing the minority participation in entrepreneurship in the auto industry.
Okay. Hey, look, when you get in touch with any dealership that wants us to come out and have a show, right at their dealership so we can promote them.
We're ready.
And talk about this.
We're ready.
We can make that happen.
Just make it happen.
We're ready. Let's do it again, Roland. We're ready.
Roland Grimes, Not Just Sports Entertainment Show. On behalf of Damon Lester, Mr. Self-Empowerment, Wilbur Skipper, One Shot Fred, Timekeep Mr. Cooney, Makeup by C, and of course, the good folks here at the Society Lounge in Silver Spring, Maryland. Thanking you once again for joining us.
Happy holiday season.
By the time this airs, I keep telling you. I want to thank you for joining us, folks. Continue to subscribe to our channel. Go to our website, www.rgsportshow.com. Roland Bubba Grimes saying good night and God bless.
It's not dated.